My name is Francis Akawili, and I've been trading on prop firms for 2 years and have withdrawn over 5 figures in payouts across 3 different firms. I'm making this video because online there aren't many videos which show the process of transitioning from a sim-funded account into live, specifically on my funded futures. As a quick disclaimer, the accounts that I bought were 3 50K starter accounts, which are no longer available on my funded futures. They now go by different names, and the actual requirements for getting transitioned into live are also different as well. For example, the requirement that I met were 30 winning days of over $100. However, I believe that my funded futures only allows you to transition into live if you have 5 payouts. So that might be a difference between my accounts and potentially someone who is watching in the future. Before I go into the process of transitioning from a sim-funded account into live, I did want to make a quick announcement that if you're interested in receiving your own personalized free plan for how you should go about trading prop firms, this is considering your strategy and your personality, then go ahead and shoot me a message on Instagram. I'll be replying to the DMs and we'll set something up from there. So I just wrapped up my trading day. I currently have 3 accounts. However, if I show them to you, it will end up showing the actual account number, so I'll just display it from here. But as we can see, the winning days to live, 29 out of 30. I just closed the day up about $100 to $200. So this number right here should update to 30 out of 30 by the time the market closes, and from there I'll update on what else happens and the further steps that they send me. On November 20th, that's when I actually got the 30th day, and it is currently December 3rd. So over 2 weeks of a few back and forth with the chat, I finally received an email regarding my promotion to a live account. As you can see, there are some requirements that are needed before we go through with the following steps. However, as we can see right here, I had 3 $3,000 starter accounts, and they got merged into 7,500. So I believe that's because of the 2,500 buffer, I believe, on each, and when you combine it, it now has a live balance of 7,500. As you can see, this is my daily loss limit and max contract size, and I will be completing these documents and seeing what happens next. All right, I officially logged back into my funded futures, and this is the first thing that popped up. As you can see, I need to fill in a few of these forms, not farms, but areas, and then I'll go ahead and see what happens next. So after I filled out the previous page, this is the documents that I will have to upload now. Completing the previous step, we are now on the 3rd step, which is to just sign some documents. So I went ahead and did that too. It is now December 8th, and I have been able to log into my funded futures account, and I now have the live funded account now ready to trade. One thing to note is that I did pass my evaluations, and I also traded the sim funded on DX feed, and therefore I was able to connect it to Quantower. However, this is a Trade account, so I won't be able to trade on Quantower anymore. I can only trade on this account through Trade on the web browser. But this is basically it. After sending in the few forms that I did, my funded futures sent me a Trade login, and after a couple days after sending it, that was over the weekend, it is currently Monday, and now I'm able to have access to this live account. So this is officially my 2nd day with the live funded account. I decided to just withdraw all of the equity. I messaged the risk management and they said that there is no buffer, so pretty much once I am funded, I can withdraw the whole entire initial balance. However, they do charge you for the data fees, so it's closer to, as you can see, $7,300. And I initially tried to request a payout on the 8th, but the risk management team told me that I have to place at least 1 trade. So what I did was later that day, also on the 8th, I did a mini contract flip on the micros, and now at about 3:20 p.m. on the 9th of December, the trade has now updated, and when I go into my request payout section, then I actually have the button to withdraw. But before that, there was no button. I'm not gonna show that because there are some personal details on there. However, that is pretty much the steps. I will likely include some following confirmations, but for now, I'm gonna go ahead and request. So I've officially submitted a payout. The profit share, I think it was up to 10,000, you get 100%, and then the rest you get 90%. So they pretty much fulfilled that same promise. So up until I hit the 10,000, they gave me 100%. And then as you can see, for the leftover, they gave me 90%, which is why it averaged out to almost 99%. But this is the final payout amount, and these steps should go through. I will update after that. I did want to make a quick note that this is the full entire account balance that they gave me. So after they approve this, it's very likely that the full live account will be closed because I basically hit the minimum balance. However, I do want to see how the payout process will work, since this is going to be essentially shutting down the full account already. It is now the following day, December 10th, 2025, and after I sent the payout request this morning at around 8 a.m., I received an email pretty much confirming the full live account withdrawal amount. So basically, the risk manager hit me up and said, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I said yes, and right after that, I received the funds. As you can see, it all took place within a matter of seconds once they had the confirmation, and right away I saw it in my bank account, which is something that I noticed only My Funded Futures has done. This is a little bit ago, but Top Step, I had to wait a few days. Alpha Futures had to wait a few days. But My Funded Futures, it has an instant payout, which honestly is it's really cool to just see your funds or your payout request right away in your bank account. I also wanted to give my last final thoughts about My Funded Futures. I essentially spent $400 across all of the evaluation accounts, and I have made over $10,000 from payouts. So basically, I was able to turn $400 into over $10,000 in profit. So that is a really big return. And I want to say that I think My Funded Futures probably has some of the best payout rules, as well as some of the best payout processes. And if you're someone who is looking to get into the prop firm game and they want a prop firm which they know will pay out, then I highly suggest that you check out My Funded Futures. They do honor their word, meaning that part of me was a little bit concerned with getting paid out the full amount, just because I didn't know how I didn't know if they would actually pay me out on live, since I literally just got the account. And they also honored the same profit share. So the starter accounts aren't even available anymore. But because they had a profit share of 100% all the way up to $10,000, they honored that same profit share amount, and then it was only the excess amount that had the 90-10 split. So I really do appreciate that they honor their rules. And basically, when you are requesting a payout, instead of you choosing the amount and possibly getting denied for not meeting the requirements for that amount that you requested, My Funded Futures just has an option that displays the maximum amount that you can get paid out, and it essentially be guaranteed. So I really like that process, and it leaves less chance for error and getting your payouts denied. So overall, this was a really good investment of the $400 specifically in My Funded Futures. That does not account for the other prop firms I have invested in, but for My Funded Futures exclusively, really good investment and ROI. So that just goes to show the power of prop firms and what they allow you to do. Had I kept that $400 in a trading account, let's just say I risked that $400 on a trade, might have walked away with $800, but using that $400 and investing it into prop firm accounts, albeit quite a while, wait for the $10,000. But still, if you put $400 into a random investment account, and let's say you get really lucky with a single stock, that $400 going to $10,000 is a really good return. Obviously, trading does have some active work with it, but it's very rare to see that good of an investment. And that leaves my final thoughts for my funded futures. If you don't have accounts with them yet, and you are more so in the beginning stages of your prop firm, we'll say career, then I do recommend starting some accounts with them. The whole process is very streamlined, and that wraps up the conclusion.